Welcome to Bedtime FairyFails. I'm Kim. This episode was made possible in part by the live play D&D podcast All D20. We'll tell you a little more about them after the show. This story was sent in by Chris Scarber. In this story, we'll learn about the power of creative thinking and the value in keeping things you would normally throw out. This is That's Using Your Head. Once upon a time, a group of heroes were on their way to kill an evil mage. Now, this group consisted of Gore Yeet, a half-elf paladin, Nero Angelo, the tiefling sorcerer/monk, a gnome bard named Hugh Harry Hingleton, Will Burr, a half-elf druid, Hakuho, the Goliath barbarian, and a wood elf rogue named Airden. Now, a few weeks before the group set out to find the evil mage, they had tracked down a bugbear who was working closely with the big bad evil guy they were fighting against. This bugbear's name was Clark. And in case you've never fought a bugbear, they're neither bugs nor bears. It's a very misleading name, actually. Bugbears are massive goblinoid creatures standing at 7 feet tall, covered with coarse hair, a mouthful of sharp fangs, and lots of muscle. So the party is exploring a goblin cave and eventually come across a large room where they found Clark and a wolf. Unfortunately, Gore Yeet the paladin and a cleric who sometimes traveled with them entered the room first and managed to completely block the door when the bugbear attacked. This left the rest of the party outside the room and unable to help. Clark and his wolf rushed at the two heroes, gravely wounding the cleric. Gore used thunderous smite on the wolf, throwing it across the room. The cleric attempted to run but got struck in the head by Clark's morning star. Another party member rushed in to help him, but 3 medkits later, he was still in bad shape. Airden the rogue and Nero the sorcerer teamed up on the wolf and soon brought him down. Meanwhile, Gore yelled at the others to go help the injured cleric while he deals with Clark. Gore turned towards the bugbear, locking eyes with the snarling beast. He then used Searing Smite to sever Clark's body completely in half. He then grabbed his sword and charged at the beast. He brought down the sword with a battle cry, "Ah!" cutting off Clark's head. The battle was over. Now, Gore decided he wanted to keep the severed head of Clark to wear on his belt as a warning to others. Something that would raise some serious red flags in real life, but is a super cool idea in D&D. So he cleaned the head and later had it preserved in salt. And he wears the dried up, mangled head on his belt at all times. So like I said, the heroes are now on their way to a manor to track down an evil mage. The once beautiful manor, which is now mostly in ruins, sits on top of a large plateau and is surrounded by a crumbling wall. The heroes climb up the side of the plateau and crouch behind the wall to come up with a game plan. At the entrance to the manor, they see several guards, a couple of bugbears, and 4 to 5 humans. Now, the evil mage is powerful. They need to preserve as much strength as possible for their fight with him, so they decide that they'll be better off getting past the guards without a fight, much to the barbarians' disappointment. But sneaking 6 people inside without being seen was practically impossible. They needed a distraction. Hugh Harry Hingleton the bard says,
"Hey, maybe I can use Magic Mouth to make something scream at the guards so they go investigate."
That's when Gore holds up his severed head and says,
"What about this?"
About this time, Nero the sorcerer remembers that a guard they had captured recently told them about a beast in the manor. That means the other guards should know of this rumor and would certainly be on the lookout. She says,
"We need to make sure all of them leave. Remember the beast story? What if we use that somehow?"
What follows is one of the most beautiful distractions I have ever heard. Will the druid offers to shapeshift into a wolf and run around while the severed head was screaming.
No,
Says Gore.
I have a better idea.
The manor guards are at their post, watching the entrance and scanning the fence, when they hear something. Faint at first, but then getting louder. They watch, full of terror, as through the front gate runs a massive wolf. In his mouth is a decayed, shriveled, severed head, screaming at them.
The beast is loose! Run for your lives! Run, you fools!
Meanwhile, in the distance, they hear screams of agony coming from the rest of the party.
The beast has come!
Shouts one of the guards. Instantly, they all take off running as fast as their legs can carry them, hopping the fence and sprinting down the side of the hill, clearing the way into the manor for our heroes to walk right in. They eventually do take down the mage in the manor, along with a Nothic, whose head was added to Gore's belt, because you never know when it might come in handy. The end. We'll be back with our next story after this quick break.
3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Cut his throat with my dagger.
Oh shit!
I have to cast the Taco Bell spells.
Cast away.
Goes, fire sauce.
Looking for adventure? Looking for improvised storytelling? Looking for the satisfying clatter of freshly rolled dice? Roll for Blank is an actual play homebrew D&D podcast DM'd by me, Nate Regolia. Join our weird and wild adventurers as they solve mysteries, break plot points, and vaporize their foes. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you download your podcasts.
This story comes from Jeremy, and it's a tale about how even the best laid plans can backfire, let alone the plans that haven't exactly been thought through. This is Aw, Rats. Once upon a time, there was a small party wandering around Neverwinter after failing to revive a fallen comrade. I mean, they did a good job and all, he just decided to stay dead. So let me introduce the ones who are left. We have a half-orc rogue named Crutch, Airbron, a half-elf ranger, Kip, the kobold sorcerer, and a human variant sorcerer named Jose. After they finally found the perfect snow globe souvenir, the party decides it's about time to head back to Phandalin. As they're leaving, they pass a little side alley and hear,
Psst! Hey! You guys want to buy some potions?
The heroes stop and look down the alley for the voice. They see a shady-looking kobold who I imagine is hanging out by a dumpster in a trench coat. Crutch looks around for anyone else he could be talking to before pointing at himself.
Yeah, you! They're cheap.
Airbron rolls his eyes and says,
Come on, guys. Let's get out of here.
He and Kip start to walk off, but Crutch and Jose decide to humor the shady salesman.
What you got?
Asks Crutch. The kobold motions for them to come closer and begins pulling bottles full of liquid out of an old chest on the ground. The heroes can tell these vials are full of water or oil that's just been dyed various colors. As he's pulling them out, he says quietly,
Oh, I've got healing potions, potions of haste, a potion of dark vision.
I'm half orc.
replies Crutch.
I already have dark vision.
The salesman starts to reply, but is interrupted by Airbron, who says,
No, I think we're good on shady potions.
After which he grabs Crutch and Jose by the arms and starts dragging them away.
Sir, you wound me!
Cries the sketchy kobold after them. Now Airbron decides to do the right thing and tell the guards about the less than respectable potion salesman.
Hey, guard! There's a shady kobold over in the alley trying to sell fake potions!
He points at the kobold, who is standing in the alley trying to attract his next victim. I mean customer.
Oh, you mean Dukix?
replies the guard.
Yeah, we know about that guy. As long as no one turns to stone, he's fine.
Crutch, being a smartass, decides to have a little fun with the guard. You see, Crutch had been bitten long ago by a were-rat, and because of this, he could now transform into an ROUS at will. In case you've never seen The Princess Bride...
Marriage!
No, we're not doing that scene.
Aw.
Like I was saying, ROUS stands for Rodent of Unusual Size, and this is the perfect time to use it to his advantage. Crutch says,
Actually, I drank something of his and now I don't feel so good. Ugh.
as Crutch fake vomits, he also transforms into a giant rat. Now, while this seemed like a good idea in theory, it didn't go quite as planned.
Rat!
Screamed the guard while recoiling in disgust. Hearing the first guard, 2 more guards come running over and immediately begin beating the giant rat with the ends of their spears. And they are not playing around. After a short but very damaging beating, Crutch transforms back into his normal half-orc self. He starts screaming and moaning in pain.
Oh, God! Why would you do this? Oh, my leg, my torso, my head, my arms, my feet.
And he drags himself away from the guards. One of the guards takes off towards the alley screaming,
Dukix!
Crutch watches from the ground as the guard and Dukix start screaming at each other.
You've really done it this time!
What are you talking about? I didn't do anything!
That guy just turned into a giant rat! You think he magically did that all on his own?
Yes, I do!
As the argument continues, one of the remaining guards says to Crutch,
Are you okay? Do you need someone from the temple? Or possibly a cleric?
Crutch groans weakly and says,
No, I just want to go home now.
As he crawls slowly towards the city gates, the rest of the heroes, who had simply stood by and watched their rat-shaped comrade get beaten to a bloody pulp, follow behind him, still doing nothing to help. The guards stand and watch them leave, puzzled about what just happened. Meanwhile, the party heard the yelling between the kobold and the guard all the way out the gate. The end. Thanks for listening. If you like D&D podcasts, which clearly you do, be sure to check out one of our favorites, All D20. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen. To submit a fail, email me at bedtimefairyfails@gmail.com or message me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Bedtime FairyFails and Twitter as BT FairyFails. As a reward for listening all the way to the end of this episode, here's a little behind-the-scenes look at our argument about how to pronounce the name Dukix. Dukix is spelled Dukkix. Dukix. My FairyFail voices disagreed.
Does that say Dookie? How do we pronounce that?
It's Dukix.
No.
No,
It's Dookie to me.
It's Dookie.
It's Dookie. We should
different.
make it Dookie.
Did you ask
It's
what
like
it was?
Dookie.
They made it like
Dookie.
Jose
Did you
and
ask him
everything,
what that
so
was?
this is Dookie.
Did you get a pronouncement?
Airborne?
Aw.
Yeah,
I
come on.
messaged him, okay? Look, it's Dukix.
Well, what did he say?
I think
No way.
that's Dookie.
It could be
Nope.
Dookie.
Look, the X is
It should be
silent.
Dookie.
No.
The X is silent on the end.
Guys, I'm pretty sure it's
Dookie.
All for
That
Dookie,
is
raise your
Dookie.
hand.
No, it's
for
Dookie.
real.
Dookie, Dookie.
In the end, we stuck with the actual pronunciation, but it was definitely the most passion I've ever seen in an argument about the word dookie.